What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing a very unique team for the Hisui Cup submitted to the channel by I'mSwap010, who's running Plant Cloak Burmy, Shadow Toxicroak, and Shadow Rhyperior. Now my first thought when looking at the team was, whilst the backline does have coverage for it, there is zero fast move pressure into Drifblim, so that could be a huge issue. However, this trainer was able to overcome most Drifblim during these battles through great energy management and well-timed swaps. With that being said, let's just get straight into the question of the day. Which Pokemon has surprised you the most this season by being way better than you were expecting it to be? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle leading into Bibarel. So we're actually going to swap into our Toxicroak as we will take resisted damage from the fast moves, and as well looking to bait out a Gastrodon'S, as of course the backline is going to be weak to Mud Slap. Dynamic Punch is going to be shielded, and the opponent not even committing to a full farm down here. I think at this point, yeah, definitely just let Toxicroak go down there. Dynamic Punch, whilst it would have done a lot of damage, would not be enough to flip that matchup. So at this point, we come in with the Wormadam, and we can tank these Body Slams absolutely comfortably here. And the opponent is hitting for double resisted Mud Slap damage, as we are a Grass and Bug-type Pokemon. Body Slam number 2 gets us into the yellow health range. We're now going to fire off an Energy Ball just before they do reach a third Body Slam here. And of course, Energy Ball gets the KO there. They come back in with Bibarel, and we're actually going to swap into our Shadow Rhyperior to catch the charge move, but going to use the shield anyways, as the opponent does fire off the Surf. Now their final Pokemon going to be a Drifblim. We farmed up past the Rock Wrecker, but we are going to bait with a Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe grabs the final shield. It also drops their attack there, making this matchup a little bit more comfortable. The opponent fires off the Icy Wind, dropping our attack in return, but that's okay. We can now overfarm. We know we win CMP. We fire off on the CMP tie here. Rock Wrecker easily gets the KO there. They're going to come back in with Bibarel, and of course we have been debuffed in our attack, so Breaking Swipe, we look to throw on CMP, but we have been debuffed. It doesn't do enough damage, but we're still able to get the Mud Slap farm down there and take that game. Into next battle, we're going to see the same lead. So once again, going to swap into our Toxicroak here, and the opponent is going to throw. We did have the opportunity to throw a Dynamic Punch on CMP, however, that is very risky there. So the opponent's now going to swap into Drifblim, and because we don't throw straight away here, we've got tons of energy. The opponent calls a bait there. We full send the Shadow Ball, and now the opponent comes back in with Bibarel, but we can fire off a Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch should be shielded here, and it is, but the opponent overfarms, and Toxicroak so spammy with Poison Sting this season. Dynamic Punch grabs the final shield from the opponent, and at this point we can definitely just let the Toxicroak go down. Surf gonna get the KO there. We can come in with the Rhyperior, of course gonna have to shield a Surf as it's double super effective, but now we can probably commit to a full Mud Slap farm down. The opponent fires off the Surf there. Their final Pokemon is going to be a Rollout Licky Licky, and we are full sending the Rock Wrecker. Rock Wrecker, of course, all shields are down. It nearly gets the one shot there. The opponent, maybe if they had Earthquake there, could have thrown it, but they're just going to give up there, and we're able to take that game. But into the next battle, we can see Gastrodon in the lead. The opponent's going to say swap into Drapion, and we can come in with the Rhyperior. However, we've got to be wary, as of course Aqua Tail is double super effective. We need to shield that. We're now going to fire for Breaking Swipe. I actually don't know if this would KO from this range, but it does grab a shield anyways. So this one, probably the best case scenario for us to play out the 1-2 shield scenario there, and then come out with a decent amount of energy here and a ton of health, as of course we did not take any damage from charge moves. The opponent's going to come in with the Gastrodon. We're actually going to swap out Catch the Move. I don't know about that. The opponent is actually going to go for a Body Slam there anyway, so I guess maybe we weren't trying to make a catch. The opponent just randomly threw the Body Slam there, which probably wasn't a smart idea up against Rhyperior anyways, as it does resist it. But either way, we're coming in with the Wormadam, and the opponent is going to overfarm. So, of course, Hyper Fang gets the KO from that range. Toxicroak should just barely tank a Hyper Fang. Wow, what the hell is going on? But we go for the Rock Wrecker anyways. I thought we were going to come in with a Toxicroak. At this point, the opponent not committing to farm down once again, going for that Body Slam. And I think that's a huge mistake here, as we're able to connect with the Breaking Swipe. The opponent fires off the Body Slam there. If they committed to the farm down, honestly, we'd be in trouble, as they come out with the Earth Power loaded, but potentially they had Water Pulse anyways. But either way, it doesn't matter. Dynamic Punch takes out the Gastrodon, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, very awkward lead here, but they are going to be on sand attack, so we are resisting it. Aerial Ace is going to be double super effective, however, and we are going to no shield. That does huge damage. That's the most damage I think I've ever seen Aerial Ace do, but we are going to come in with our Shadow Rhyperior, and unfortunately they're on Ice Fang, so Ice Fang, Drapion, also a bit of a core breaker to the team here, but we get the Mudslap farm down, but they're going to come in with a Bomber Snow, and we are just full sending the Rock Wrecker. Rock Wrecker is unfortunately shielded, and they can farm us down. So at this point, we're in a very difficult situation. Going to come in with our Shadow Toxicroak, and we kind of need to no-shield this, but at this point, this Icy Wind going to do quite a lot of damage. They swap back into Gliscor, and we can at least reach a last-second Energy Ball here, but it doesn't really help us out too much. It does not put them into farm down range for the Toxicroak. No point shielding here. The opponent actually going to be on Night Slash as well, and at this point, there's nothing we can do, and so we just concede the match. So into the next battle, we're going to see a Spiritomb in the lead. So this is a fairly neutral matchup here. We're going to swap out, trying to catch a move, but we did swap out a little bit too early there. So we're going to shield, and the opponent does full send the Shadow Ball there, so good call. But they're going to come in with a Gastrodon, which is certainly not ideal. But once again, they are just going to go straight for the Body Slam here. Body Slam is resisted, and we're only going to get off one charge move now. So, of course, we go for Rock Wrecker, and it gets shielded there. So at this point, of course, that's not too bad for us. We can come in with the Wormadam, and again, we can just afford to overfarm massively. The opponent not throwing a charge move, though. So we can go for the Energy Ball, get the KO there, and the opponent comes back in with the Spiritomb. Now we swap into our Toxicroak as we are resisting the damage from those Sucker Punches, and they've got Drapion in the back. Dynamic Punch does huge damage. I think the safe play is just shield this up here, and that should be game over. Arquitel might put us into Sucker Punch farm down range, which wouldn't be ideal. So we shield that up there. We're going to force the opponent to throw the energy, but I think they have just rage quit out of the app at this point, so we're committing to a full Poison Sting farm down there, taking out the Spiritomb and taking that game. Into the next battle, we're going to see Hippowdon here. So, of course, we are double resisting the sand attacks. The opponent is going to fire off the charge move, and we are going to not shield this. They actually go for Scorching Sands for some reason. I also had this when I was using the Sandy Cloak Wormadam the other day. Like, people just kept on throwing ground-type moves into it, and this is even worse up against a Grass and Bug-type Pokemon, as it's double resisted, and they probably should have Rock Weather Ball anyway, so I do not understand that play whatsoever. But anyways, they're going to come in with the Drifblim, and we end up throwing on not the best timing. It looks like we are lagging here. Shadow Ball does grab a shield, and as a result, the opponent can outpace us to that next charge attack. So we're going to shield this up here. Even double debuff from Shadow Toxicroak. Shadow Ball might be enough damage to get the KO here. Shadow Ball is going to get the KO. They come in with their Hippowdon. We're going to swap back into Wormadam, and they come in with a Spiritomb, but we've got the energy advantage. We can now full send a Bug Buzz, and Bug Buzz gets the KO up against the Spiritomb. They're going to be forced to throw a charge move here with their Hippowdon. That's absolutely okay. We're going to see the opponent is on Rock Weather Ball there, so don't have a clue why they went for the whatever the ground type move is. I can't actually think what it's called for a second there, but it doesn't really matter. We get the KO with the Dynamic Punch, and we take that game. Anyways, into the next battle, we're going to see a Shadow Palkia in the lead. Now, this is fine with us. We can, of course, no shield an Arquitel. It is going to be resisted. We then swap into our Shadow Rhyperior, looking for the Mudslap Snipe, and we get that. So let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with Drifblim, but they are on Astonish here. So with full send in the Rock Wrecker. Rock Wrecker is unfortunately shielded, and that means they can now commit to a massive farm down there. And we don't even reach a breaking swipe. So at this point, we are going to come in with the Toxicroak here. The opponent is going to blind throw, however, we probably need to shield anyways. The opponent going to debuff our attack with the Icy Wind. They then swap into Gastrodon, and we are going to bank a Shadow Ball before swapping out there. Now, that might be really important for us in the end game. We're going to no shield, and again, they go for Earth Power. What are you doing, trainer? It is a Grass and Bug-type Pokemon. That's double resisted. And the opponent also going to shield the Energy Ball. They're committing to the farm down, but Wormadam says, no, you're not getting that farm down. Energy Ball number 2 gets the KO, and banking that Shadow Ball. Gonna be clutch for us in the end here, as we can just full send it. And super effective up against Drifblim. It easily gets the one shot there, and we're able to take that game. Alright, heading into the next battle, and an awkward lead matchup for us, seeing Lucario here excuse me. We're going to no-shield this first move, as this will just be a power-up punch. However, of course, they're going to boost up their attack here. These bullet punches are really chunking. We're still not throwing a charge move here. I mean, everything we throw is going to be resisted anyways. Our bug bites are double resisted as well. But we're going to fire off the energy ball. They're going to no-shield, and now we're going to try and snipe with resisted poison sting damage, and we do actually get that snipe there. I feel like maybe we should have just come in with the Rhyperior and got off one mud slap, but either way, we're going to go for the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball not respected. What are you doing, trainer? Why? What the heck was that? Now we can, of course, get a farm down there. A bit awkward for us. I don't know if we lagged off the opponent lagged there, but it did look like we were out of sync with our fast moves. But either way, going to come in with the Shadow Rhyperior as they fire off the Rock Tomb. But we can go for a Breaking Swipe here and hopefully also debuff their attack. Breaking Swipe is going to drop their attack there, so now, of course, both Pokemon are going to be debuffed. We're firing off a second Breaking Swipe here. Breaking Swipe grabs the final shield. We swap into Wormadam, and the opponent taking so much damage there that we put them into range for a single Mud Slap, even after the debuff from the Rock Team gets the KO there, and we take that game. Into the next battle, dream lead for us, exactly what we're going to see. Gastrodon, the opponent's going to say swap into a Shadow Drapion. We're meeting them with the Rhyperior, and at this point, of course, going to have to shield the Arc Tail. The opponent is going to grab our shield there, and they do reach a last second Aqua Tail here, but we're going to double shield, commit to the farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent's actually going to come in with the barrel, which is actually fine with us because Rock Wrecker would be resisted, whereas in this matchup, it's going to be neutral. So Breaking Swipe grabs the shield. We're now full sending the Rock Wrecker. This should be grabbing the final shield, and it does exactly that. At this point, the opponent is going to overfarm just a little bit here, but that's okay. The opponent fires off the Surf. We can come in with our Toxicroak, and we should be able to tank a Hyper Fang, not super comfortably, but if they do go for the Hyper Fang here, we should be swapping out straight away, assuming the opponent would try and snipe with the Gastrodon. We're able to predict it, and as a result, the opponent recognizing there's just nothing they can do there, and so they concede the match. But into the next battle, we're going to see Pachirisu in the lead. Now, of course, we're going to completely wall them here with that grass typing, so we're just going to stay in. Of course, Rhyperior has a better matchup, but we don't need to swap out of this matchup here. This is still very dominant. We're going to fire off the Bug Buzz, and Bug Buzz is going to do quite a lot of damage. It doesn't quite get the KO, but they do not reach another Thunder. The opponent's going to come in with a Spiritomb here, and we are going to overfarm. And once again, trying to swap and catch the Charge Move onto Rhyperior. We're going to call a bait, but they full send the Shadow Ball, and that massively backfires. And suddenly, we're in a bit of an awkward position here. We're going to come in with our Toxicroak, and the opponent is going to bank some energy, swapping into Gastrodon, and if we don't live the Mud Slap damage here, this is going to be hugely costly for us, but we just barely hang on. We do reach back-to-back Dynamic Punches, and the second one is going to connect. It will put them into farm down range, but we're going to shield the Charge Move here. We need to, and we need to commit to a full farm down here, although actually maybe we could have gone for a Charge Move instead, not allowing them to grab our final shield here, because unfortunately we cannot get to back-to-back energy balls, as it does cost 55 energy each. So we fire off the first one, grab the final shield, but they actually outpace us to the charge attack, as they did bank some energy before swapping out. Rock Tomb takes out the Wormadam, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But into the next battle, and we're going to see Gastrodon once again in the lead. So things are looking good for us here. Gonna no-shield this charge attack, as the opponent is going to go straight for a Body Slam. And now they're going to swap into Drift Blim. So once again, a little bit awkward for us, but having Hex here does make it a little bit easier for us, just because, of course, they have minimal fast move pressure, but we are hitting 4 double resistant Mud Slaps. So speaking of minimal fast move pressure, we do need to grab a shield here. Breaking Swipe just isn't going to do that much damage. We do drop their attack, however, Icy Wind is still going to be super effective, so we're going to shield that up anyways. And we are now going to go for another Breaking Swipe. Since we've been double debuffed, this probably doesn't get the KO here, but it does grab a shield. And now we swap back into Wormadam. I'm not so sure about this play here. We kind of needed the Wormadam for that Gastrodon in the back. So we then end up throwing on CMP, which we lose. So things go from bad to worse here. Icy Wind gets the KO. Honestly, I don't even know what our plan is right now. But we're going to come back in with the Shadow Rhyperior, and we are going to overfarm as much as possible. Okay, we throw on CMP here. Breaking Swipe, of course, is going to get the KO. The opponent's going to come back in with their Gastrodon, and it looks like they lag by 1 turn there. So they get the Mud Slap through, but we grab the final shield. We can now come in with a Toxic Cloak, and we're actually able to outpace them before they reach the nuke move here. Dynamic Punch gets the KO there, and they've got Gastrodon in the back, so suddenly things are looking better for us once again. Honestly, this battle, a complete roller coaster of emotions. Dynamic Punch, huge damage. They are triple resistant poison stings, but we do reach a second Dynamic Punch here, and of course, we can fully undercharge this. It gets the KO up against the Gastrodon, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we're going to see Drifblim in the lead this time around. So swapping into our Toxic Cloak, they are on Astonish, so quite a lot of fast speed pressure. They're going to come in with the Gastrodon, and once again, if we can get to back-to-back Dynamic Punches here, then that could be very nice. But unfortunately, this time we do go down just as we reach a second Dynamic Punch there. But we do get them into range where we can just Bug Bite farm them down. However, the energy, not that useful into the Drifblim. The opponent fires off the Body Slam there. They're not going to reach another charge move, so that's okay with us. But they come back in with the Drifblim, and they do actually allow us at least to throw an Energy Ball before the opponent throws an Icy Wind. So we grab a shield there. We're now swapping into Rhyperior. We need to start getting ahead on energy. We are going to shield up the Icy Wind, and the opponent is really far ahead on energy, so they should be able to outpace us, but they don't throw straight away. We go for Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe grabs the final shield there. And of course, we're now going to shield as well, but I think they should still outpace us before we do reach that Rock Wrecker. So we're actually going to throw here, and the opponent ends up catching onto Drapion. So I guess that's okay with us. We are going to stay in initially. Swap out there. We need to swap out, otherwise they would reach an Aqua Tail. They're going to be firing off the Crunch right now, and Crunch does not get the KO, and that probably costs us. Otherwise, I think we can just Mud Slap farm them down there, come out with the Rock Wrecker loaded. But as a result, they have the Aqua Tail. It takes out Rhyperior. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. Into next battle, we're going to see Spirit Team in the lead this time around. Will we try and make another catch? This time we are successful in the catch, but is it actually going to be the Rock Tomb? Yes, it is. That is resisted damage. They come in with Yanmega. What the heck is even this thing? Okay, well, we are taking quite a lot of damage from the wing attacks. We do reach a Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball is going to be shielded. So at this point, we come back in with the Wormadam for some reason. We're taking double super effective damage here. The opponent fires off the Ancient Power. That does not get the KO, but we don't throw a move. I don't know what we're doing here. I think we are panicking. We're seeing the most random Pokemon we've probably ever seen in the Go Battle League, and we just don't have a clue what to do whatsoever. At this point, by the way, Yanmega is very glassy, so we probably can just settle for a Breaking Swipe to get the KO here. But instead, gonna shield the Aerial Ace, and we are going to farm up to back-to-back Rock Wreckers. We're just guaranteeing the KO. Breaking Swipe definitely takes them out from this range, but we get the KO there. They're going to come in with a Toxic Cloak, and we are going to overfarm here. Breaking Swipe will actually get the KO from this range, but I think we're just too low right now. The opponent can come in with their Spirit Team. We do not quite get to back-to-back Breaking Swipes, and of course, the opponent going to use their shield there, and we end up being Sucker Punch farmed down to lose that game. But that was definitely an example of seeing a Pokemon that we've never seen before and then just completely panicking and having no clue what to do. But anyways, into the next battle and back to normality. We're going to see Gastrodon in the lead. So we are going to overfarm just a little bit here, fire off the Energy Ball, of course. Double super effective. It gets the KO there. They're going to come in with the Shadow Drapion. We can swap into Rhyperior, and we're met with a Dust Noir. So at this point, we're going to fire off the Breaking Swipe on the CMP tie here with the Dust Noir, and we grab a shield, and again, dropping their attack, which is very nice for us. The opponent fires off the Shadow Punch there. We know we win CMP, so we can now overfarm, and again, look to throw on CMP. Breaking Swipe, number 2, grabs the final shield, again dropping their attack, so this probably allows us to fully Mud Slap farm us, that farm them down there, so we're committing to that farm down, we get the farm down, we come out with the Breaking Swipe loaded, we're now committing to the Rock Wrecker, and of course, a very good move here, Rock Wrecker gets the one shot, and we take that game. Into, I think, the final battle of this video, leading into Spirit Team, and once again looking to catch the charge move, and this time we are successful catching the move onto our Rhyperior. We also get the Mud Slap through as we swap one turn early, which is very nice. That does allow us to outpace them to the Breaking Swipe here. Breaking Swipe going to be shielded by the opponent, and now the opponent's going to swap into their Gastrodon, but that's okay with us. We did just grab a shield from the opponent. They banked some energy, but now we can just completely wall the Gastrodon. The opponent fires off the Body Slam there, not doing too much damage. We can now overfarm. Gonna fire off the Energy Ball before they do reach another Body Slam here, and of course, double super effective. Again, it easily gets the one shot. They come coming in with Gastrodon, we can come in with the Toxicroak, and things are looking fairly good for us. The opponent recognizing there's nothing they can do actually, and so they just concede the match. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.